Hi again, everyone. This is Professor Sebastian. Back to our statistics class notes on page 68. We are in section 5.3, and we're talking about conditional probability right now. So right now I want you to understand that we have a little bit shorthand for conditional probability notation rather than writing given that all the time. What people tend to see is this vertical line here. So for example, rewriting part B on the previous page, the probability of having an average income given that we know the person is college educated. Okay, so this vertical line is a way of saying given that, way of shorthand notation. So in general, probability of A given B, we quickly say A given B. So what's the probability of event A occurring given that we know B occurred? The probability that event A occurs given that we know event B has occurred. Okay, so how do you calculate conditional probabilities? When you're given data in a table, you can calculate the conditional probabilities by isolating the group from which you're sampling, as we just did in this example. Without a table, though, often it's nice to have a formula. So if you think about that Venn diagram, we've reduced our sample size to just event B. So we want that intersection again, which is the probability of A and B, but then just divide it by just the reduced sample space, which is the probability of B. So the probability of A given B is equal to the probability of A and B divided by the probability of B. So if I look at that table, now we don't have to use that formula, but I want to remind you how to use the table and then show you that the formula works as well, even though we have a table. So let's say we want the probability of a low income person given that we know they're from the less than high school educated group. Okay, so by isolating a sampling group, which is less than high school, the total of the less than high school people that were in our sample were 115. Of these, 62 are low income. Thus, the probability of low income, given that we know we're focusing in on the less than high school group, is 62 out of 115, or 0.539, or 53.9%. Now, if I use the formula, we just say, so if I think of low income as A and less than high school as B, probability of A given B is equal to probability of A and B divided by the probability of B. Okay, so the probability of A and B is how many people are low income and less than high school. So low income and less than high school is right here at 62 out of a total of 406 people. So 62 out of 406 divided by the probability that we have just a less than high school person. So less than high school is 115. So 115 out of 406. So we have 62 out of 406 divided by 115 out of 406. So remember from algebra or working with fractions, when I divide by a fraction, that means I can invert that fraction and multiply. So 62 out of 406 times 406 divided by 115. You can see that the 406's cancel, and they end up with 62 out of 115, which is the same thing as I have by just looking at the table. So again, if you have a table, just look at the table to figure it out. But if you need to use a formula and you only have these probabilities given to you, then this is the way to use the formula. Probability of A given B is equal to probability of A and B divided by the probability of B.